Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Throughout human history, as our species has faced the frightening, terrorizing fact that we do not know who we are or where we're going in this ocean of chaos, it has been the authorities, the political, the religious, the educational authorities who attempted to comfort us by giving us order, rules, regulations, forming in our minds their view of reality. To think for yourself, you must question authority and learn how to put yourself in a state of vulnerable, open-mindedness, chaotic, confused vulnerability to inform yourself. Think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to Tony Khan, Michael Parker, Chairman Gaming, MXZ, Dan White, Chris, everybody welcome. Hope everyone's doing well today. Let's see here. Get some background music going. Make sure my other thing looks good here too. Let me check my other screen really quick. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff here. So let me see if my other screen is working okay. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about. Welcome Keith, Kelly, Waffle Boy. Do me a huge favor, guys. Please hit the like button for me. Get as many likes as we can, as get more people coming into the stream. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Metroid Prime 4, the Nintendo Direct, some tech stuff with the Unreal Engine 5 on Switch 2. We're also going to talk about, let's see what else. Donkey Kong Bananza. I beat the game. So we're gonna so just to give you an idea of what we're gonna do, I'm going to go over my thoughts for Donkey Kong Bananza first, my final thoughts, and then we're gonna talk about the Nintendo Direct, my impressions of it, and my some of the tech stuff that is going on with Switch 2, that I find interesting, and then we're gonna dive deep into Metroid Prime 4. There's some interesting stuff going on with that game, and some. Yeah, we'll discuss that. Some really interesting stuff, and then we'll end it with a Q&A, and like we usually do. So I thank you guys very, very much for coming out to this stream. I took last week off, and you may or may not know this. Probably don't know, especially if you're new. But this month is my 15th anniversary on YouTube. So 15 years I've been doing YouTube. Can you believe that? Since August 10th, 2010 was my first upload on YouTube. So we're on August 2nd now. So 15 years of doing YouTube. It's just been quite a fun ride doing YouTube with you guys. Starting out from zero, from scratch. Now I have 3 channels. Mainly posting on 2 channels. I have a third one doing like sci-fi stuff that I don't post to very often, but But yeah, man, 15 years doing YouTube. I've learned a lot, been through a lot, seen it all. So yeah, my name's Dave, obviously. So like, if you don't know anything about this channel, basically I do a bit of PC gaming, Nintendo. I cover Nintendo stuff in my content videos, but when I live stream, I do PC games, Nintendo games. I do even retro content here and there when I live stream. I love playing games. Gaming is in my DNA pretty much ever since I was a little boy, playing the Atari, the Commodore, and television, to the NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, all the consoles, N64. I grew up playing games, and gaming is pretty much part of my life. So I hope you guys can trust that I will give you as honest an opinion as I can on games like Donkey Kong Bananza, and whether it's negative things or positive things. This is not a channel that it is going to be like. I've never been a channel that tries to placate to a fan base. It's more so covering my interests in gaming. So I do want to thank you guys from bottom of my heart. Basically, all you guys have been around for many years. I think Michael Parker asking for the Wii U intro that I used to have back in the day. You guys have been around for over 10 years watching me. I really appreciate you guys supporting me for all these years. It's been an amazing journey, and what I love the most is being able to share my interests that I enjoy to share and have you guys enjoy it with me. One of those things is Metroid Prime, tech stuff, speculation on hardware and technology, and discussing all those things, just enjoying gaming, and being able to share my experiences with you guys has been quite a wonderful time. So all you guys, RPX, welcome, Robin, all you guys who are telling me congrats and thanks in the chat, appreciate you. But yeah, 15 years, man. That's not something that you can say much when you do YouTube. Like, not many people last that long, and I'm not even doing this for a living. I never have. It's always been a hobby. So I'm really proud of what we've accomplished here. Over 36,000 subscribers, and doing content that I enjoy doing, and that's pretty much all I've ever done. Always trying to get better, trying to improve. Trying to do the latest tricks with YouTube and like technology and how you do videos. I am interested in doing that kind of stuff. I've always been interested in making a really good video. That's always my goal. I try to make the best videos that I can, and I'm glad you guys enjoy it. So yeah, thank you again, guys, for 15 years on YouTube. Really been a fun time. But yeah. Donkey Kong Bananza. So yeah, like I said, Donkey Kong Bananza, we'll cover that first. Nintendo Direct, tech stuff, and then Metroid Prime 4 and Q&A after that. I'll give you guys all a chance to come in and stick around for the Metroid Prime 4 part, because I think you'll really enjoy that. Thank you, Lex. Thank you, Dave, for all the good content. Thank you. Yeah, YouTube is difficult. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not that difficult if you're treating it as something as a fun hobby. It's not as difficult as it may seem. And making a good video is difficult. That's a challenge. But like, if you're trying to like make videos all the time because you need to make money, that's where it gets hard. And that's what I've stayed away from. That's just how you know that I'm doing the best I can to make just good videos. Yeah. So let's go over to Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm just going to play this in the background on loop. So yeah, Donkey Kong Bananza. I beat the game. Give you my final thoughts. I won't... for those of you who haven't beat the game yet, I won't spoil the game for you or anything. As far as the ending and the final boss and stuff like that. But So yeah, it took me about 25 hours. It took me 25 hours to beat the game. I didn't collect everything. You know, that's something I can do when you go back later in the game. But I think the game is great. It's really really good actually. It's probably in the top 10, I would say, of my personal like best. I think as far as 3D platformers, I don't think it's the best of all time, and I don't think it's better than any of the 3D Mario platformers either. I know a lot of people have been saying online with blanket statements on Twitter that this is the best platformer they've ever played, but not really explaining why. And it's a fantastic game, but I don't. There is some issues I have with it. We'll go over. But first of all, the positives, right? So yeah, the game is a lot of fun, and it's really fun. At least at first, it's really fun to bash and smash everything in the game, and you get this freedom of exploring through destroying things is really cool. I think that's a really cool mechanic. And you know, I was wondering though, after the first like 3 or 4 layers, what they were going to be doing to spice things up with the gameplay more than just destroying things. And thankfully, you know, later on in the game, you do they do add some more mechanics as far as any actual levels are concerned, for you to do more things with actual like traversing the levels. You can actually, you know, connect like vines and, you know, and do puzzles that way through the actual environment with the things you are having that they provide to you in the levels themselves. And in the snow level, you know, there's snow levels, there's lava, there's forests. There's even a food level. You know, that's one of my favorite levels in the game, by the way. I think it's called Feast. Is it the Feast layer? That's one of my favorite layers in the game. Also, there's this one level where you do like music, where you're connecting the different musical instruments to make the music all go together. That's one of my favorite levels too. And of course, which I won't spoil, the last few layers and the final part of the game. Fantastic. Actually, you know, like I said, without spoiling it, the final boss I think might be the best. I kid you not, probably the best final boss of any Nintendo 3D platformer of all time. I think the final boss was absolutely incredible, just amazing. They outdid themselves on that. If you beat the game, you know what I'm talking about. That was an absolute amazing final boss. I got no complaints whatsoever. Very satisfying. Made me very happy. Had a big smile on my face. All the different parts of the boss. You had at least like 3. I think the final boss is more like fighting like 3 different bosses. Just continually upping the ante and like the craziness of it. It was so good, man. It was fantastic. I absolutely love that final part of the game. So good. So yeah, definitely worth playing. If you have a Switch 2, you will definitely, you know, if you like 3D platforming and 3D Mario games, if you're a fan of the old games, back on the N64, when the N64 kind of pioneered the whole you know, 3D platforming genre with the Mario 64, you will love this game. I guarantee it. But it's not perfect. You know, people mentioned the frame rate. Yeah, the frame rate, it's fine for the most part. But definitely, like on the final boss, the game and a couple other bosses, the game does drop frames rather consistently, which is not what you want. You would rather the game have a lock 60, especially during boss fights. I don't really mind if it drops frames during actual gameplay. Somewhat, but during a boss fight, you never want a game to drop frames, and this game does, unfortunately. So hopefully they do patch it later and fix those frame drops. It didn't really just destroy my experience, but especially on the final boss, it dropped frames a lot more than I would have hoped. But the game is like The game's insane. Like what they're pushing and what they're throwing at you on the screen. It's crazy what they're doing. However, what I did find that was weird about the frame rate, guys, is that when you are in those crazy boss fights, the game will sometimes not drop frames. And it's doing all this crazy stuff. And you're like, okay, well, why isn't it dropping frames now? But then it does in other sections when it's doing like the same stuff. So I think that's just optimization, in my opinion. I think they could have spent a little bit more time optimizing those boss fights. Little frame rate drops when you're like breaking some like walls and stuff like that. Very, very minute, and don't really do anything at all to affect my experience. But those boss fights, I did experience some issues where I was actually jumping. When you're actually trying to perform a jump and the game drops to 30 frames like that, that can affect your gameplay. You can't actually get hit or something because the game actually chugged in that moment. I did actually experience that a couple times in the game, which is a negative. But like I said, I think overall the performance is like 95% of the time it's really smooth, to be honest with you. And there's moments where it's doing all this crazy stuff, like I said, on screen, and it's not dropping frames at all. And you're like, wow, it's like not having a problem here, but then it does in another part. So like I said, some optimization I think still could be done. I think they could definitely fix that. I don't think it's really a hardware limitation. I think it's an optimization because the game is designed to have all this crazy stuff going on, and it runs at 60 frames during those times for the most part. So I do think they can totally fix that. Now, some of the negatives I have about the game, okay? So, slight spoiler here, but there's five different transformations in the game. You have the gorilla, you have the zebra, and you have the ostrich bird. You also have an elephant, and you have the snake. And in my opinion, I think only again, this is just my opinion, guys. Only the gorilla, ostrich, bird, and the elephant. Only those three transformations are actually really useful, in my opinion. I don't think the zebra or the snake. I barely use any of those, and because you just don't need to use the snake that much. From the objectives they give you to do. Besides in the like bonus levels and stuff like that, like the extra stuff, you don't really have to use these, like the zebra and the snake, and use the zebra to run across like areas that they forcefully put in there, so you had to use the zebra. I don't really think that's good design by actually giving you platforms you just fall through and you have to use a zebra for. I don't think that's a good like reason to create like a transformation just for that. So zebra, I hardly ever used it. Snake, almost didn't use it whatsoever at all. Final boss, spoiler, you have to use the snake a little bit, but for the most part, like for things like on the final boss, you can get away with using mainly the powered up gorilla, like to do most of the dirty work. For most of the stuff in this game, you can use just the gorilla and get by with it, and some of the elephant will help you as well. But yeah, like for sure. I mean, all the transformations have the the ability to help you get bananas. And then that's the whole point of the game, is collecting all these bananas. But that also leads to another criticism I have of the game, and that is that collecting the bananas is not that fun for me. I mean, like as far as like collecting them all, like because after about 20 hours into the game, I did get fatigued. With the destroying everything stuff. I was starting getting tired of doing that, because you got to do it for everything to find these bananas. So I did get a little tired of that, and on top of that, another criticism I have is these bonus levels that you get, these challenge levels, and things like that. I really wish that what they would have done is put those into the actual game. Some of them, like a lot of these things, I think they could have been put in the game and not have you actually just like find them and unlock them. I think they should have put things like the classic 2D parts. I think they should have incorporated that into the main game more, and not in the bonus levels or the extra levels that you find. Yes, I know they're trying to go for like exploring, and you find these extra levels, but I do think the game would have benefited more if they gave those levels to you to do during the main game and not have them as a bonus level, at least somewhat. They kind of separated that a little bit too much from the main game, and the reason why I say that is because I found that the one of the issues I have also was these bonus levels, like the challenge levels, when you like, especially the ones where you're just destroying enemies. I thought after a while those were a complete waste of time, and the problem with that though is that the game doesn't tell you what these types of levels are when you're searching. Like when you're searching for these areas that you go to explore and into those secret levels, you don't know what you're getting. It could be a destroy all enemies, or destroy the 5 enemies, destroy the 3 enemies, destroy the enemies stuff, or it could be a puzzle challenge, which are really cool, or it could be a 2D level with the barrels and stuff like that, and that you're doing like old school Donkey Kong, which is really cool. So I really didn't like, after a while, the destroy all enemies bonus levels. And since I couldn't really tell which ones were which after a while, like later on in the game, I ended up simply just skipping a lot of those levels because I didn't want to. I feel like they were kind of wasting my time. I wanted to like just play the actual game and not have to worry about getting all these extra secret areas, because I didn't find them to be that fun, because I didn't know what I was going to get, and I didn't like the destroy all enemies stuff. I thought that could have been taken out of the game. It would have been better without it. So I do think this game is a little bit over convoluted with some of the stuff. Okay, and having to destroy everything after a while gets a little bit tiring for me. I know like if you don't get tired of destroying everything and finding everything, that's great. But for me, I did get a little bit repetitive. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. But like, it was still a lot of fun. I just ended up skipping a lot of these extra levels. You see what I'm saying? So but yeah, it's one of those things that I played through it. I played through the entire game. I went back and I double checked. I checked to see if I could tell which of these bonus levels were what. They do tell you when you like actually enter them what they are. You're saying, someone says, actually, we know the bottom ones are fighting, and the ones you have to push in front of you are the normal challenges. I don't know what you mean by that, but when I went back and checked the levels, and it doesn't really tell you anything until you enter in. It'll tell challenge. It'll say challenge. It'll say the certain name of the level, and then it'll give you like then you'll know when you enter it. But like, I couldn't really tell otherwise. So but yeah. Mainly though, my main issue is some of these extra levels are just weren't really that fun for me. Very repetitive, like I said. So, and then also on top of those other two transformations that didn't really find very useful. So I do think less is more in this case. I do think they could have actually had a more condensed experience, taken out some of these things, and it would have been actually more enjoyable for me. That's not to say I didn't have a great time, though. I did have a great time. So it's just, I think the game was just a little bit over convoluted, and there wasn't enough of the creativity put into the actual game. They put a lot of the creativity into these challenge levels, minus the destroy all enemies parts. So I wish they would have put more of that into the game itself, and I think I would have had a much better time with it. But like I said, like in the last few parts of the game, the last few like the feast layer, the forest layer, and the groove layer, and the final few parts of the final few layers, fantastic, amazing stuff. It was really, really fun. But I do think it was a little bit inconsistent in some of the repetition stuff. So yeah, overall, I would say the game. I think the game is about right for what it was rated on Metacritic. I think because they rated it about on 9.1. I think that's about right, to be honest with you. I don't think this is the best of all time type of platformer, but it's definitely not like a game that people are overly hated on either. Like, it's kind of weird how like I said before when I started the stream, YouTube, I'm not that type of YouTuber where I'm trying to get like clicks on my videos by saying like something is terrible, I hate it, stuff like that. Definitely, this is a fantastic game for sure. I just don't think it's perfect. There's some issues with it that are they could have thought out a little bit better for me personally. But yeah, like I do think that Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are better than this. I do think Mario Odyssey is better than this. I think that Mario 64 is better than this. And I think that Mario Sunshine, I'm a fan of Mario Sunshine. I think Mario Sunshine is even a little bit better than this as well. If you guys hate Mario Sunshine, it's okay. This is just my opinion. But there is some similarities, I think, with Mario Sunshine actually in this game. Like some of the camera wonkiness. Also the flood. Like I do think like this game's method of flood is kind of like similar to the destructibility aspect. Either love flood or you hate flood, right? I'm like in between. Like I didn't really like using flood in Mario Sunshine that much. After a while, it kind of got boring for me. So similarly in this game, I didn't really find destroying everything after like 20 hours in to be that interesting anymore. So yeah, it's one of those things. It depends on what you like. Like if you, granted, they do give you some better tools and different types of destructibility in this game. But I did get a little bit tired of it after a while. I'm just being 100% honest with you guys. Just like with Flood and Mario Sunshine, I got a little tired of using that thing. I wanted to just be alone and be Mario. But yeah. Yeah, everyone's entitled to your opinion. Some people absolutely despise Mario Sunshine. I don't. I love Mario Sunshine. I just don't think it's one of the best 3D Mario games. And I didn't mind Flood that much, but it wasn't. I didn't really think it was that great either. It's kind of mixed for me on that one. But yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. If you think this game is the best 3D platformer you've ever played, I can understand that too. But I've been around the block. I played Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, all those games from back in the day. I played all these games, guys. So like from my point of view, I think this is probably in the top 10 of best 3D platformers. It just falls short on a few things. And I don't think it's on the level of the Mario 3D platformers. Sometimes the more simplicity that you have on certain things is actually the better. But yeah, there's also some interesting similarities that to Star Fox Adventures, if you know how that game works. And without spoiling anything, but I do find there's some interesting similarities to Star Fox Adventures. I wonder if they were fans of Star Fox Adventures who made this game. I think that's a positive, though. I think I enjoyed it. I don't mind it when games like quote unquote copy or like take from other games and Nintendo franchises. I think that's if it's done right, it can be fun. I do think this game has some similarities to Star Fox Adventures in some of the things without spoiling. Cool stuff. Yeah, like the innovation in this game, I do commend them for taking the risk to make everything around destroying everything, because it is fun, and they did try their best to make it more varied. I just after a while, and I'm talking 20 hours in, I was getting a little fatigued in doing that. And I wanted them to add more variety of gameplay in the actual levels themselves, taking out some of the creativity they had in the challenge areas into the actual game. I think that would have suited my playstyle better. But yeah, great game. Highly suggest you play it. There's going to be something there that you like. I guarantee it. So yeah, it's definitely, I would say it's the best game on Switch 2 right now for sure. It's really, really well done. Some performance issues here and there. They don't really affect the experience during gameplay. Some issues during boss fights. But overall, I would say, yeah, it's a solid, a little bit over a 9 out of 10 probably ranking for me. But yeah, if you're a fan of Mario Odyssey, Mario Sunshine, I think you got, obviously I'm kind of like being a little nitpicky here, but I played all these games, guys, so I can't be nitpicky. But like, you're gonna like this game. I guarantee it. Yeah, you might not like some things if you're really particular about how you like these games to work, but you're gonna find something that you really like. I guarantee it. But yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of Mario Odyssey either, to be honest with you. Some of you guys say you didn't like Odyssey, but I do think Mario Odyssey had a little bit more creativity in how they designed the levels. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But like I said, you're not gonna have much problem with this game, guys. You're gonna have a fun time. You're gonna have a fun time. I guarantee it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Donkey Kong Bananza. If you haven't bought it, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic game. If none of those issues that I mentioned bother you in your experience, like if you've already been playing it, you don't have any problem with that, then obviously you're gonna probably think this is like a 10 out of 10 game. For me, that some of these things. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. The bosses. Some of the boss fights were, like they're showing here in the direct, some of the boss fights were also repetitive, as far as repeating the same bosses like this one. You fight this same boss a few times in the game. Minor nitpicks, I would say. It's still like a 9 out of 10 game, though. It's really, really good. Very likely the best Switch 2 game as of right now until we get something more. Okay? Yeah, welcome, Dwayne. Yeah, I said hi to everybody. I'm in the middle of my going over the discussion. If you have any questions, save them till the Q&A part. But yeah, we also had a Nintendo Direct that many people didn't like because it was a partner Direct. So they had games like Monster Hunter Stories 3, Katamari, Just Dance, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Plants vs. Zombies, Pac-Man, Persona 3 Reloaded, Final Fantasy Tactics, Hyrule Warriors, some Madden, Apex, Star Wars Outlaws, which that's a whole nother story with that game. Yeah, you completely disagree, even though I said it's over a 9 out of 10. Okay, yeah, the game's not perfect. There's definitely issues with it, but yeah, if you don't agree, that's up to you. So yeah, if this Nintendo Direct didn't really have anything for you, I totally understand, because it didn't really have much for me either. But the highlight of this Nintendo Direct for me was actually Cronos: The New Dawn. I thought this game looks really, really good. This is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and this is going to be the first day and date release of an Unreal Engine 5 game on the Switch 2. They do have Split Fiction, which is Unreal Engine 5, and Fortnite, which is Unreal Engine 5, that they like updated on Switch 2. But I think this game looks really, really good. And some people were questioning about Unreal Engine 5 on the Switch 2, and I do think this is actually looks really, really promising. And there's actually a graphics comparison of this game versus the PC version that our guy CYCU1 said, or did a comparison of with the PC version, and that actually looks really good. So hey, I'll be picking this up. And but yeah, this is another example of when you have a game that is really good, real well suited, I think, for the Switch 2 would be a game like this. And I think Unreal Engine 5 is showing promise on the Switch 2, to be honest with you, because Split Fiction, even though Digital Foundry said it looked really, really like way worse than Xbox Series S, we know it didn't, because there's a comparison of that game too, and it looks almost exactly the same. Here we have it right here, Split Fiction. Unreal Engine 5, the main difference for the Switch 2 version of this game is that it's running at 30 frames, and because it's in split screen, right? But it's the graphic quality looks nearly identical to the Xbox Series S. It looks better than Steam Deck, and the PlayStation 5 is running like a higher like quality setting. But yeah, I think Unreal Engine 5 has actually some decent promise here on Switch 2. And then you have games like day and date releases, brand new games. This is not an old port. This is a brand new release with Cronos, the New Dawn on Switch 2. And this is not even the Xbox Series S they're comparing it to, or PS5. It's the PC version. And yeah, done by Bloober, who did Silent Hill 2 remake. And you know, I think this looks really, really good. Yeah, you're gonna get a little bit less like detail on some of the like lighting effects. I think a good example of that is what they showed, I believe, right? What was it over here? Yeah, so in this like the opening area, like you're gonna get some less like detailed lighting that they have on the PC version, but on PC it looks it has like extra like probably lumen or global illumination or whatever they're using, and the lighting on PC is always going to look better. That's just how it is. But I think this game looks really, really good on Switch 2. I think yet again, I know we mentioned Digital Foundry, but they there's just not a lot to compare yet with Switch 2. Like, I don't think Fortnite, even though Fortnite is made by the developers themselves, who actually do, Unreal, because it's Epic. There it is, right there. Yeah. So you got some less lighting here on the Switch 2 version. But it's the same geometry and the same objects are there. If you look close, they're just not lit up as much. But yeah, like there's not a lot to compare yet on Switch 2. So we have things like this to look at. And I think this is really impressive. And there's not a physical release on this one, unfortunately, but that's a whole nother story. Like the physical release issue on Switch 2 is kind of a mess. Like all the third parties are using the game keycard stuff. So if you're into physical games, Switch 2 is just not gonna be for you probably for a bit until Nintendo changes that. They did release a survey. Nintendo released a survey to I think Nintendo Switch members, I believe, that how what your thoughts are on the key cards. So if you do get that survey sent to you by Nintendo, make sure you answer it and tell them that you don't like it. If you don't like that, make sure you tell them that you don't like it. so they'll rethink that process and actually require developers to release games on cartridges Or Nintendo should actually provide cartridges that have, smaller variants, so they don't have to purchase a 64 gigabyte cartridge. Because the word on the street is that developers need to purchase 64 gigabyte cartridges to sell their games on. Those cost more money, so of course they go with the game key card thing because it's cheaper. So if Nintendo would provide like a 48 gigabyte cartridge, a 32 gigabyte cartridge, so on and so forth, then maybe developers would be more keen to release games physically. But Nintendo gave them that option to release games on a key card due to that, most likely. I mean, it's kind of on Nintendo, you got to say, right? It's kind of their fault because they need to provide more options to developers. Developers can't just be expected to always release a game purchasing their more expensive 64 gigabyte option. Nintendo should provide more options to them so they could release them more so. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you gotta deal with. But yeah, so far so good on Cronos, the New Dawn. This is a great example, and I looked into it as well. If you guys know any different in the chat, let me know. But I don't think this game is being developed by anyone else but Bloober. I think Bloober is actually porting this game to Switch 2, which is not the case for Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws, here's a PlayStation 5 Pro versus Switch 2 comparison. It doesn't look that much different, honestly, but here's the problem I have with Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws doesn't look good in the first place. Even on PC, I didn't really think it looked good. I don't think the art style is very good, and I just think the game is basically like Ubi slop, right? For whatever reason, also in this trailer that they have for Switch 2, it's very, very dark. Like, they made it so dark you can't even see what's some of the like details lost because it's so dark there. Like, look at that. You can't even see his neck. It's so dark. But yeah, this game is being ported not by the developer who made Star Wars Outlaws. I think they're what are they called? Are they called Massive Games or Massive something? Massive Entertainment. It's not being ported by Ubisoft's original developer. It's being ported by Ubisoft's like third tier developer, Red Links. And the only port that they did on Nintendo Switch 1, and they haven't done anything since, was that Trials motorcycle game back like 6 years ago. And even that game had like frame rate issues on Switch 1. They are porting this game to Switch 2. So you have a contrast of Ubisoft's like third tier porting team who never ported anything this ambitious to any consoles before, porting this to Switch 2, versus Bloober actually doing this themselves on Switch 2. And the results look a lot better, I would say, already. This game actually looks great. And but is this really a good example to judge this by for Switch 2 for all Star Wars Outlaws? I would say no, because this is also a different engine, totally different developer, a lower tier developer is porting this over, and the game honestly is just like slop. It's not a day and date port. It's an old port, and yeah. I don't know what to tell you. But like the fact that they're trying to, tell people to pre-order this, pre-order your version, pre-order the Switch 2 version right away without actually showing you real gameplay, I think that's pretty bad. Yeah, I saw the other Star Wars Outlaw featurette on Ubisoft. It doesn't look any good. It has a really, really tiny, like, few second like clips of like little gameplay, like maybe like 2 seconds each, and you can't really get a good idea of how the game plays. You need like a 10-minute showcase or something to show like the actual gameplay of this game running. But either way, guys, I would not buy this game on Switch 2. I would not buy this game in general. Asking about DLSS, I don't know what they're using DLSS. They probably are, but I wouldn't. There's no information on that. But so yeah, here's the thing too. This game, comes out on September 5th, and Cronos comes out on the same date, pretty much. So which game do you think I'm gonna recommend? I'm gonna probably recommend you guys buy this game because it's actually a brand new game, releasing day and date on Switch 2, and it's being actually done with care by the developer. The actual developer themselves making the game is actually porting this within their own house. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more Unreal Engine 5 games on Switch 2. I think this is going to be really, really fun. And if you, I really enjoyed Silent Hill 2 Remake, and this looks like it's gonna have. Obviously, it's another survival horror game, but like if you enjoy Silent Hill 2 Remake and you want more of a sci-fi twist, this looks like it's gonna be the type of game that you would like, right? So yeah, I'll be checking this out. We'll check this out live on the channel when this releases next month. But yeah, this is very good, promising showing for Unreal Engine 5 on Switch 2, and I want to see a lot more of this as well. But yeah, so now let's talk about Metroid Prime 4. It's time. It's time to talk about Metroid Prime 4 real quick. Not real quick. We'll get into it here. Yeah. So how are we doing in the chat there? Yeah, do me a big favor and hit that like button for me, guys. Let's get it closer to 100 likes if we can. Appreciate you all coming out for this discussion here. Like I said before, if you, I figured some of you would hard disagree with my Donkey Kong final thoughts, but like I said, the game is still a fantastic game. But yeah, if you disagree, that's totally fine. But yeah, it is what it is. I still think it's a fantastic game. All right, so Metroid Prime 4 Beyond does not have a release date yet. People are talking about it, they're worried about it and everything. So, you know, a couple of things we got to keep in mind about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is that the game was shown, I believe it was June of 2024, over a year ago, right? We saw the first gameplay trailer of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and that was over a year ago. The game looked great, looked like it was done. Of course, you don't know that by seeing a trailer, but the game looked very polished on Switch 1. Then we saw another gameplay montage in the late March Nintendo Direct on the Switch 1 yet again. So that's another trailer. We saw that Planet Viros was shown in more detail in that trailer. Samus's psychic abilities were revealed in Metroid Prime 4 in that late March Nintendo Direct of this year. And then the following week, we got confirmation of Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2 edition in the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. And that was awesome because you get 4K, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second at 1080p, improved graphics, improved texture resolution. We did a graphics comparison, and yes, they did actually improve textures as well. They didn't specify it though, but if you looked close in that video, we actually highlighted they did actually improve some of the textures, and some of the lighting is actually even better as well on Switch 2. The game looks fantastic, buttery smooth. It's my most anticipated game of all time. I'm a huge fan of Metroid Prime 1, of course. That's my favorite game of all time. So, of course, this is my most anticipated game. But yeah, they had a huge 17-minute Nintendo Treehouse presentation. I think it was April 3rd, like the day after the Switch 2 Direct, right? So, where's the release date? Where's the release date? Well, Nintendo didn't have a general Nintendo Direct since the Switch 2 Direct in April. They had a partner showcase, and Nintendo just said yesterday from their financials that they are still expecting to release Metroid Prime 4 in 2025. Metroid Prime 4 has a 2025 release date as far as the year is concerned. No date exactly yet. Now, people are like, oh, it's going to be delayed to 2026. That's what it means. How could it, but I'm asking, how could it mean that if they're saying just yesterday that it's coming out in 2025? How does it mean it's delayed? It doesn't. But here's the thing. I didn't do a video on it just yet, but because the information came out right after I did the video. But Metroid Prime 4 was rated in Korea end of July. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, not even the Switch 1 Edition, the Switch 2 Edition was rated in Korea as of July 25th, 2025. Rated for ages 12 and up. First-person adventure game set on planet Buros, or Viros, where Samus, it may be I did a screenshot of this and did Google Translate, but because it's all in Korean. Samus was transferred after an unexpected situation arose following an encounter with Silex, the Galactic Federation research facility. Mild violence using weapons attached to the suit to attack alien life forms. Therefore, it's been rated for ages 12 and up, according to Article 21. Okay, so normally a game that is being rated means it's either completed or it's very, very, very close to being completed, like 90 to 95% done, and then it's ready for its rating. So yeah, this game was rated last month, which more than likely means it's only a few months away from being released. So my guess is that it's going to be released in October, or either late October or November on Switch 2. Someone's saying here October 29th was a date leaked on Nintendo website. Okay, I didn't hear about that. If that's new information, that's news to me. But just because it doesn't have an exact date yet doesn't mean it's not coming this year. When you have a game being rated this in July of this year, that more than likely means it's coming out later in the same year. I remember seeing Demon Souls. Do you remember Demon Souls on PlayStation 5? Demon Souls is rated for PlayStation 5. I remember that in 2020, like in the same time range, like July or so. And that was a launch game for PlayStation 5 in November of 2020. So I think it's heavily hinting that it is going to be a 2025 game, like Nintendo says. I mean, Nintendo just told you yesterday it's coming out this year. So like, if you think Nintendo's just lying about it and they're going to delay it anyway, that's up to you to believe. I'm not really seeing that myself, though. I'm seeing the game being rated, and I'm seeing them say 2025. I think what we're waiting for, if I'm honest with you, is that we're waiting for a blowout of information for the game, and possibly its own Nintendo Direct, like targeted Nintendo Direct for Metroid Prime 4. And if any of you think Nintendo would not do a dedicated Direct for Metroid Prime 4, I beg to differ. Because if they can do one for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles X, which what they did do, then yes, they definitely can do one for Metroid Prime 4, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sold like less than 2 million copies, and Xenoblade Chronicles X didn't even sell 1 million copies yet. Xenoblade Chronicles is more of a niche series. It's getting bigger, but Metroid is still technically a bigger series. Metroid Dread sold over 3 million copies. So yes, they definitely can have a Metroid Prime 4 dedicated Direct for this game. Maybe later this month in August or in September. Now, since the game has been rated, since we've already seen multiple trailers for the game dating back to 2024, do I think they need to have much time in order for them to announce the game release date versus releasing it? The answer is no, I don't think so. And the reason is because we've already had the game announced. We've already seen gameplay footage. So I think a release date could be within a month to 2 months from when it actually is released, because everyone already knows it's coming in 2025. They just got to give you a release date. Yeah, in our last video, we talked about how, in the last Metroid Prime video, we did discuss that their art book was pushed to the end of October, which covers Metroid Prime trilogy. And obviously, you would want to get that out because that is being handled by Retro Studios and Nintendo. They are actually the ones behind that. So if they do release that at the end of October, then probably you would think that that coincides with them pushing for you to purchase either remasters of those games, which could be, a shadow drop during that time, or pushing you to buy Metroid Prime 4, which could come out, like I said, in November. So yeah, somebody said something about October 29th. Alma says, oh yeah, it was on Nintendo's website. I see it now, October 28th. I think they messed up. They immediately changed it. Okay. Well, I think October is the date for the art book though, right? So yeah. Either way, I think there's obviously a very good chance we're going to be playing Metroid Prime 4 for a holiday of 2025. Nintendo says it's coming out this year. The game looks like it's done. It's been rated in Korea, right? So yeah, like I don't see why it wouldn't come out. But it doesn't stop there, because we have like this Reese Kiwi Talks. He posted this right before I went live. This long information about what his even though he says he's not an insider, he's kind of like but he kind of like saying he knows stuff about the development of this game. Nothing against him. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you're helping, buddy. I don't think this helps anything. Especially since he's so vague about what he's saying about the development here, about the game. It doesn't really help anybody. Also, people are posting his information as like a leak. Like one of the worst Nintendo news websites is My Nintendo News. In my opinion, I think they're terrible. But yeah, they posted his information, not this one, but the one he did before, just like some random thoughts he had. He's a talk show host. He interviews developers. So like the reason why people think that he knows information about the development of Metroid Prime 4 is because he interviews developers. And now I'm not throwing shade on the guy, okay? But just because he interviews developers doesn't mean that he automatically knows the ins and outs of development for Metroid Prime 4. He's interviewed previous Retro Studios developers, guys who don't actually work there right now. So, people thinking that he is a leaker or that he knows exactly what's going on with the development, I think you got to take this with a large grain of salt, because this guy does not rumor stuff. Like we just had that whole fiasco with beat 'em ups, faking a rumor and faking a leak, and then doing a video about it, saying that he did it. He lied on purpose to test how leaks work. But no, that was really, really dumb move, buddy. Yeah, this guy's not a leaker. He's a talk show host. He says he knows information about Metroid Prime's development. Then he tells sites not to post his information because he's not a leaker, but then he goes and posts this stuff. Very confusing. So yeah, I'm not going to read all this. Basically what he says is that he heard there's like a snag or something. He calls it an anomaly that they've had in development that they need more time with, but he still thinks it's going to be released in He still thinks Metroid Prime 4 is going to be released in 2025. So like I said, I don't think this post by him does any help at all. The reason why I'm pointing it out is because sites are reporting this guy as being a leaker, and he's 100% not a leaker. So what he's saying here could be 100% wrong, but also he's not really saying anything. He's not really saying anything that really helps at all. Saying that he's heard there's an anomaly in like some like snag they hit in development doesn't really do much, especially since if there is a big snag in development for Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo probably would have already announced the delay of the game, or they wouldn't keep saying that they're targeting 2025. And again, he didn't say there's a big snag in development. He said there's an anomaly, like a small little thing they're working on. They're not 100% done yet, but the game has been rated. Yes, they can rate games without it being finished yet, but the game has already been rated, and likely that it's coming out very, very soon. And then Retro Studios themselves, they're not even hiring anybody anymore. We're looking at a live shot of their website right here. They have a generic application to join them. So this is not for Metroid Prime 4. This is just a generic here, send us your resume listing here on their webpage. They're not actually hiring for anybody right now. They're done. Like, Metroid Prime 4 is likely just being polished up, tested, and they're about ready to go gold. So yeah, I just want to warn you guys about this guy right here, because probably you're going to be seeing sites like My Nintendo News, and they're going to have sites that parrot this information, even sites like Go Nintendo, even though, only because they quote unquote feel like they have to, because this information gets talked about and people are be like, okay, this guy says there's a little snag in development that he's heard, or anomaly. So, but like, that's why they're not haven't announced the release date yet. But this guy he's a talk show host. He's not a rumor guy. So just be careful when you hear this stuff, guys. Like I said, he's a nice guy. I'm nothing against this guy at all. But he's not someone I would trust for rumors or information about Metroid Prime 4. As much as he says he knows, I would question that just because there's no information to back what he says up. There's no proof, just his word into the internet. So yeah, nice guy, but grain of salt, and that's all I gotta say about that. So, but Metroid Prime 4, I try to go by what is actually like factual. The fact is, the game has been rated, guys. So if there was a snag in development, why would they send the game to be rated? That makes no sense. You would not rate a game unless it's ready to be rated. You know what I'm saying? So like, if Retro Studios had any type of little tiny anomaly in their development, they would never send the game for rating. This actually has to be done by the developer, guys. By the publisher and developer. You don't just send a game to be rated unless it's ready to be rated, meaning the game is done or close to being done, like nearly 100% done. Granted, with the way games are these days, guys, they're never 100% done. Games are always getting patched. They're getting updates. The game is close enough to being done for them to get it rated, okay? So if there was ever a doubt that the game was ready to be released, they would never send this game to be rated. Never. They never would do that, guys. That would be the dumbest thing they could do. Then they have to pull their classification out and then resubmit it later or something like that. Why do that? If the game is ready to be rated, then that's why they posted it. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like this, writing an entire novel or something. This guy, I think he's kind of in his own world, and this doesn't help anything. So I'm warning you guys right now. You're going to see sites report on this. And all it does is going to cause worry for no reason. Okay? I don't see any reason to be worried about this game right now, as far as it releasing. Unless Nintendo says they are delaying Metroid Prime 4 to 2026 and they give you a hard date or something like that. Unless they do that, I don't see any reason to be worried about this game releasing in 2025. They just said yesterday that it's releasing in 2025. The game has been rated. We're waiting for either a Nintendo Direct or a Metroid Prime 4 Direct to give you the exact date. Maybe the collector's edition. You know, they're going to have like probably the whole marketing thing is probably going to be all surrounded their Metroid Prime 4 Nintendo Direct. Like what they did with Donkey Kong Bananza, right? Donkey Kong Bananza, their whole marketing campaign, if you look at they have like amiibos, right? So in order to get you to buy their amiibos for Metroid Prime 4, obviously they're probably going to have a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, buy like a Metroid amiibo, Samus amiibo, probably a Silex amiibo, you know, all this stuff, and that's actually a really smart idea. If they do a marketing campaign like that, Metroid fans are going to buy that stuff up because that's stuff you don't get normally for Metroid. That's like special treatment. So like if this is a Nintendo's, you know, November game, people said like Metroid Prime 4 maybe doesn't fit their holiday game mantra or something like that, but I beg to differ. Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, both released in November in their respective years. Metroid Prime 1 was November 2002, Metroid Prime 2, November 2004, Metroid Prime 3 was August of 2007. Did I say the wrong years? So 2002, 2004, yeah, Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and then 2007, Metroid Prime 3 for August. But they were releasing Mario Galaxy for a holiday. There was no way they were going to release Metroid Prime 3 next to Super Mario Galaxy in 2007. That wasn't going to happen. But yes, Metroid Prime can, and in fact, you know, likely, probably could release in November 2025. It's not going to hurt the sales of the game. It's going to help the sales. And if anyone thinks it's not fit to be a holiday game for Switch 2, you got Pokemon there in October. So yeah, it's going to sell to its audience either way, guys. November, if it releases in November, December, it doesn't matter. Metroid Prime 4 is going to sell to the audience it's targeting on Switch 2. Even if they delay it to like March of 2026, it's still going to sell to its audience on Switch 2. But like I said, though, there's no indication from Nintendo that the game's been delayed. They haven't said that. We have the game being rated in Korea, which means the game is basically done. Usually games come out within 3 to 4 months or so, or 2 months, 2 to 4 months or so. Usually is the time range after a game has been rated from when they release it. So, and by the way, yeah, like if it is delayed to early 2026, that's still like 7 months from now. Either way, we're going to be playing the game soon. But once you see games when they're being rated at the midpoint of a year, it's very likely it's going to be released by holiday of that same year. That's just how it works. That's just the facts. So yeah, and even if it's delayed till 2026 or early 2026, by the off chance Nintendo does that, it's not going to matter, guys. We've been waiting since 2017. A couple more months isn't going to hurt anybody. We're still going to play it. We're still going to have a great time. But all indications look like the game is doing great. Actual factual information that we have, it looks like the game is pretty much done. And Retro Studios is not hiring for anybody on this game. Game's been rated. Nintendo themselves just said it's coming out in 2025. So, as far as I'm concerned, we'll still be playing this game in 2025 unless Nintendo says otherwise, and they've given us no indication that we won't be playing this game this year. They've given us every indication that we will be, including factual information. So like, be careful with rumors and like people like posting their scared thoughts. It's really that's not what I do on my channel. I just try to go by factual information. And a rating is really good, a really good sign. Really good sign for Metroid Prime 4. So yeah, guys, I'm really excited for this game. We'll be playing it live on the channel. I'll be doing a giveaway. Are you guys interested in having a giveaway for Metroid Prime? I'm planning on doing probably a digital copy I'll give away and probably a physical copy I'll give away of Metroid Prime 4 to you guys for all your support over the years in this game, your patience, and enjoying the content with me. We'll be playing the game live on the channel probably on launch day. No giveaway, yeah. I'm still deciding on how I'm going to approach that. If I'm going to try to play the entire game live for my first playthrough, I don't know if I want to do that, guys. I think I might want to play it on my own and really like immerse myself in the experience. I've been waiting for so many years for this game, but I will definitely play my first, the first like impressions of the game with you guys live, and then I'll likely go play the game on my own, immerse myself in the game fully, get my full impressions, full thoughts, do a big review of the game, and then we'll play the entire game live together and enjoy it. But yeah, I'll definitely be doing a giveaway for you guys. I really appreciate all your support for Metroid Prime 4 and all your wonderful comments and going along with me on the ride. From rumor, which we rumored here on this channel before anyone else, that this game was even existing in the first place in 2017. From rumor all the way now to release, it's been over 8 years. Isn't that crazy? Oof. What a ride. What a ride. What a ride. Yes. But yeah, let's transition over to Q&A. Okay? If you guys haven't hit that like button for me yet, please do. Appreciate you guys coming out and enjoying today's stream with me. I know like Evo is going on right now. It's a lot of crazy stuff out there, but yeah. What questions do you have for me in the chat? Let me know. Tag me by doing the @SuperMetalDave64. Tag me like this in the chat and I will answer your questions. Let me take a drink really quick. Yeah, there were some hints that there could be multiplayer in this game, Metroid Prime 4. We haven't seen that yet, but we haven't seen like a dedicated like direct yet for Metroid Prime 4. We don't know yet 100%. So, but there has been definitely some strong hints that there could be multiplayer in this game. We just need more information from Nintendo. Chris, but yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome to Freedom, Antonio. Thank you for your kind comments. Boston Samus, let's see, Keith, Anish, Joseph Allen, Surplex, Fat Baby. What was it? Fat Baby? No, Fat Cheeks or whatever that fat thing was in the chat. I always recognized it with their profile picture. Okay. You are the number one, I guess, number one chatter, Alma, or something like that, ranked. I don't know how that works. Do you want a Switch 2 exclusive Prime game, or do you think Metroid Prime 4 Switch 1 version will be better for the health of the sales? Did I want one, like before? Oh, Fat Cheek Baby. Okay, yeah, there you go. I think it was the right call to make this Switch 1 and Switch 2, guys. Yeah, I think it's much better for the health of the series and for the game, and because Nintendo already announced this game for Switch 1 in 2017, they kind of owed it to... They didn't kind of. They definitely owed Switch 1 owners this game to be released on Switch 1, because they announced in 2017 they had to restart development, and they still said it was a Switch 1 game in 2019 when they announced the restart of development. So yes, they had to release this on Switch 1. For Metroid Prime 5, I think that would be a Switch 2 exclusive, most likely. And I do think they'll probably be making a Metroid Prime 5. Tony Khan, do you think Nintendo will be presenting a Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Direct next month or October? October. If they do a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, it will be either late August or in September. October's way too late. Keith, any thoughts on boss battle potential and how Samus abilities? Well, I mean, you're looking at a boss right here. Probably they'll be involving dashing. My guess is that they'll probably, since there is a dash, we know there's a dash maneuver in this game. They'll probably be incorporating the speed boost. Will probably make a return. So I do think you'll probably have bosses where you're going to be using a lot more of Samus's movement abilities. They're going to require you to probably dash around a boss's backs or their undersides, or like things like that, where you're using more of Samus's movements to defeat bosses. That's probably one of the potentials, because like we already can tell from the footage and from like gameplay impressions, like from the last video we talked about, that Samus definitely has enhanced movement abilities with dashing. There's probably going to be like a slide maneuver as well, probably, or maybe they'll even have like wall dashing or wall like walking. Maybe, you never know. That's all cool though. That'd be really exciting. Remember to tag me in the chat like people are doing if you want your question answered, because it highlights my name. Tom Tycoon, where are the Switch 2 Western third-party games? EA, Ubi, Bethesda, and what about Xbox ports? Well, we had that partner showcase. EA announced Madden, FIFA. They showed FIFA, Madden, and Apex Legends on Switch 2, and they look really good, honestly. So I think they're coming. Ubisoft, they probably have their Assassin's Creed games coming, but Ubisoft, I personally don't care about Ubisoft games. I haven't bought one since like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. But take them or leave them. Bethesda, we don't know yet. So what you got to remember too, guys, is that Nintendo does general Nintendo Directs. They don't just do first-party games in those general Nintendo Directs. They usually have bigger third-party games on the big Nintendo Directs. So my guess is in the next Nintendo Direct, that's not a partner showcase, they'll probably have some big third-party games. Maybe you'll have a Resident Evil, maybe you'll have Call of Duty, some of these other games from third parties, and a general Nintendo Direct, not a partner showcase that maybe has some older ports, lesser games. Likely you'll get an update in Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and some new announcements on their next Nintendo Direct, the general Nintendo Direct. Okay, partner showcases are really not where it's at for big announces. You could tell this is for like smaller development teams. Like I wouldn't say Borderlands 4 is like that big of a game. It used to be a huge franchise, but that franchise has gone down in popularity a lot. So I will not be picking up Borderlands 4. Don't care about it, and it's not as big of a seller as it used to be. Obviously, games like Cronos: The New Dawn is a brand new franchise. It's from a smaller studio, Bloober Team, but it's Unreal Engine 5, looks fantastic. So I would consider that maybe like a AA game, close to AAA, but not quite. So stuff like that was like, you were seeing that a lot on the partner showcase. Like Monster Hunter Stories 3, I don't think that is a big, gigantic AAA game either. It's a new Monster Hunter Stories game, but it's a spin-off game. You see what I'm saying? So I would expect their next general Nintendo Direct to have bigger AAA third-party games. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Elden Ring, possibly Call of Duty, possibly Assassin's Creed Shadows. Is that what it's called? Shadows? Some of these other bigger AAA games for third parties. Steve Killa, do you... Oh no, let me go back up. I missed someone's question. Surplex77, do you think the inclusion of a detailed compass is indication how big areas world will be in this game? You talking about Metroid Prime 4? No, I don't think a compass really does anything. Because like this, if you're talking about this or this is all pretty much as it had. These have been in, especially this has been in Metroid Prime games before. So I wouldn't say that's any indication of how big the game will be. I do think it's going to be probably either just as big as any Metroid Prime game or even bigger. I think it's going to be what you'd probably expect from Metroid Prime game, though. That's what it looks like. Looks like it's going to be, because usually they're like 20, like your first playthrough, the Metroid Prime games are usually like 20, 25 hours long. But you can beat Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 in like 8 to 10 to 12 hours when you know the game. You know what I'm saying? Dwayne Davis, do you think we're going to be way more stronger update using DLSS? Do you think Nintendo go at more RAM? Yes, I think they'll be updating DLSS to have better use of it, and they'll probably update the dev kits to have them be able to free up more RAM for developers. I think there's only going to be improvements to how Switch games look and run. We haven't seen anything really yet as far as what it can do. We've seen some early ports from developers who just got dev kits probably and been working on it for a short time, and it looks very promising. Welcome, Materia Master. Welcome, buddy. Do you think we'll ever see Bandai Namco's version of Metroid Prime 4? Maybe. Not from Nintendo, though. It may get leaked or something in the future. What are your thoughts on Pikmin franchise? I think it's good. I think it's fun. I'm not like really big into it, though. I think it's a really nice franchise to have as a variety piece for Nintendo. I think it's a good like real-time strategy game. Keith, you say you feel like the potential to bring back speed boost. Yes, yeah, I agree. Chris, do you believe it's possible that we are receiving a slow rollout of these games? It's more due to the possibility that they released Nintendo Switch 2 sooner than expected. That's your take? No, I don't think so. I think they waited really long actually to release this to the console, and honestly, their software may not be like as ready as some of these other Switch 1 games, but like the hardware was definitely ready. I think they released it at the right time because they were stockpiling Switch 2 consoles. As you know, the sales of the console is over 6 million now, and it's broken all records. So I think it was definitely the right time. I don't think these games, like Donkey Kong Bananza, even though it has some frame rate issues here and there on some bosses, I still think it's a very, very, very polished game. I do think it was ready to go. I don't think they need to delay that or anything like that. Mario Kart Worlds very polished, so. Boston Samus's hot take on Prime. Silex is playable. Oh. Multiplayer mode. Release October. Bonus. Prime 2 and 3 Shadow Drop. Hey, you're not... I don't think you're too far off there. I don't think that's a hot take. It could be the end of October. It could be November release. They could definitely Shadow Drop Prime 2 and 3. They did it with Metroid Prime 1. Nobody expected it. All of a sudden, boom, you had it. And we were playing it that same day. That was a huge event on this channel, if you remember. Yeah, Borderlands 3, very disappointing. Yeah, it's that series is not considered to be that big anymore. Freedom, do you think we're going to see another graphical improvement since last time? What do you mean? Also, from what you've seen, is it picking up from Prime 3 or Prime 1? Oh, you're asking a graphical improvement in Metroid Prime 4? No, I don't think so. I think what you're seeing here is what we're going to get. This game is pretty much done. Like, it's very polished. If they do improve anything, it'll probably be very, very tiny that you probably wouldn't even notice. A lot of times when games are released, like in development, you may or may not remember this, but with Xenoblade Chronicles X, when they showed the game in 2014 at E3 on the Wii U, it looked a little bit different in the final release in 2015. But it didn't look worse, it just looked different. Like they changed some color grading, they changed some of the lighting, but it wasn't actually different models or different textures, they just changed like from the artistic direction. So we could see something like that, where maybe an area like this, for example, maybe has less lights, maybe it's darker in the final version, or maybe it's lighter in the final version. Maybe it looks exactly the same in the final version. We don't know. But like that'll be like the only thing that I could see them changing at this point. And I think the game is way too finished, for them to change much else. Never played Primary Master. Primary Master would be your first one. Oh, okay, cool. Do you think we will get a Switch 2 version for Metroid Prime Remastered and Dread and maybe 2 and 3 remasters? I really hope so. If I were Nintendo, I would say I would release a Metroid Prime 2 and 3 for Switch 1 and Metroid Prime 2 and 3 Switch 2 edition at 4K 60 frames per second. Slightly enhanced textures, nothing crazy, because like if they're shadow dropping them, it's not going to be a crazy like upgrade, but like 4K 60 Switch 2 versions plus a 4K 60 Switch 1 Metroid Prime Remastered Switch 2 version like upgrade would be a great way to resell those games on Switch 2 right before the release of Metroid Prime 4. They're obviously at this point not going to be looking into getting huge sales for Metroid Prime 2 and 3 if they do shadow drop them. So, that's likely what we're looking at here if they do that. Metroid Prime 3 works just fine on Dolphin, by the way, with controller. And fans, you just like remap the actual, motions to button presses. It works just fine. They'll likely do that with Metroid Prime 3 on Switch 1 and Switch 2. It's not going to be a problem whatsoever to control that game on Switch 1 or Switch 2. Metroid Prime Remastered also uses the gyro aiming as well. I'm sure they will do that with Metroid Prime 2 and 3. Metroid Prime 2 and 3 also on the Wii. Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3, they incorporated those after the fact on the trilogy, Metroid Prime 2 and 3, when they included it on the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii in 2000 and 9, they added motion aiming and motion like IR pointer controls for the Metroid Prime 1 and 2 on the Wii. But yeah, Metroid Prime 3, I played it multiple times on stream on Dolphin, and it controls just fine with button mapping. So not worried whatsoever. Sipe. Star Wars Outlaws is dark because they removed ray trace light maps to make it run in the first place. I don't know about that, buddy. Is that a fact, or is that just your opinion? Because it just looked dark. It looked dark in the entire trailer, so I don't think that's the case. Because you look at this right here. This is just dark. Like, this just looks like a gamma issue. Just increase the brightness. You see that? This is not anything. This is not like ray trace light maps. Let's see, where's this little guy? This is just like really dark. Very, very dark. For no reason. Look at that. Play PS5. Like right, all they gotta do is just increase the gamma and you're good. I think that's just a bad gamma example. But yeah. Star Wars Outlaws is a game that uses ray tracing baked into the engine, so like them removing ray tracing would have to be like them not using the same engine. So yeah, I don't really buy that. I think that's just a gamma issue with the trailer. And the other trailer they showed as well. The original trailer for Star Wars Outlaws wasn't that dark anyway. So yeah. Just like with this Treehouse demo, by the way, Metroid Prime 4, it's overly dark as well. They made it way too dark. In the footage that I use on my channel, I've actually reprocessed the trailer and increased the gamma, and you can actually see a lot more of the details better in the footage that I use on my videos. But for whatever reason, they recorded their Treehouse footage really dark. Yeah, I don't think that the actual final game is going to look like that, as dark as that. But yes, any other questions in the chat? Can't wait? Yeah, me neither, buddy. But yeah, the stream will be up on the channel after we're done here. I'm gonna probably get going here in just a minute. My voice is feeling a little strained. I've been talking nonstop. But yeah, the highlight of that Nintendo Direct is this game, Cronos: The New Dawn. How have the mice been? The Joy-Con grips are really good. Yeah. Like I was saying, I suggest using, if you look at the live stream I did with Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2, I suggested buying one of these mouse grips. And I had the links in that the description of that live stream. They are really, really good. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for coming out to this stream. Please do hit that like button on your way out. I'm going to get going here and get some food. But yeah, we have a lot to look forward to with Metroid Prime 4, and I do expect them to have either a presentation or some kind of Nintendo Direct follow-up and a release date soon for Metroid Prime 4. So yeah, we will be doing a blowout of coverage on that game when we do get more information. So I really appreciate you guys and your support. Thank you for 15 years of YouTube, by the way. Remember, like we said, I'm celebrating my 15th year this month on YouTube. So if you guys have been around for a while, watching me, like I said, I really appreciate you guys and supporting me all these years. The channel has evolved, I would say, for the better, definitely. I'm doing a lot better content now than I ever have before. I do take pride in like making as good as videos as I can. That's really my only goal, is to like challenging myself to make good content, finding new information, investigating new things to show you guys and sharing with you. That's what this channel is all about. Playing games, playing live games with you guys. So yeah, I appreciate you and all your support, guys, and I will see you very soon in the next video or live stream. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Take care.